Too many incidents, too many attacks, too many news reports, too many apologies, too many news outlets covering for you, religious outfits, trying to gloss over what the fuck you did. It's time to start packing, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we're not all ladies and gentlemen. Some of us are subhuman trash that just can't stay the fuck up out the news for like a second. And I don't know if you noticed this, but this shit is going to be around for years after you leave. After you leave. And you'll be lucky that motherfuckers won't come after you and try to kill you and your peoples after the fact. I'm kind of grateful for being Guyanese. People hate on the Indians, people hate on the Pakistanis, the Sikhs, the Punjabis, the Africans, the North Africans, the Muslims. I'm involved with that shit maybe 20-30% at tops. I don't speak their language. I don't associate with them. I vaguely share bloodline with Indians, but even then, like, they're diluted from the fact that, like, they have arranged marriages. They're scum. They're complete human beings. They don't want me to say that, but what are you gonna do when you don't have to ask a woman, marry me? You get your mommy and daddy to do that for you. And then ask yourself this question, generations of that shit, right? What happens to a human being, to human beings, plural, after the fact? Some people want to call that shit normal. I call it what I see it as. Bitch. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Azure News, my channel of non-stop shit talking. It's gonna be Canada Day tomorrow, and we all gotta give it up for the fact that Henry Nowak has pretty much opened, well, God rest his soul, right? Opened the doors to all of us understanding that the Sikhs, the Pakistanis, they're scum, dude. They're never gonna be able to fucking assimilate, whatever the fuck they want to call it. You know what I call it? Being fucking normal, right? Try not to fucking rape girls. Rape little girls, bitch ass motherfucking packy rat fucks. And you could tell that, like, some of these adults, like Caucasian white adults, like the ones that helped in the grooming gangs and shit, they want to lower that age of consent. These scumbags, the dark Jews, these fucking pedophiles, the Toronto police, amongst other fucking, dirty ass scumbags, We gotta give it up for Asmongold, okay? First of all, as a quick aside, much like a rat, like I'm doing right now, you see Hassan has to constantly try to drag Asmongold down to his supposed level. Like, do I have to tell Hassan this? Like, okay, Hassan, you have a lot of money. Your parents are loaded. Your family's like whatever. You're a nepo baby. Okay. That being said, you could never even approach Asmongold. Like let's say Asmongold in the beginning of his career when he was just like blowing up and shit, and he just had his fan base from World of Warcraft, and then some other guys who just like found him comical and like whatever his commentary like endearing. Even then, you couldn't approach him. And now, he's become such a powerful beast, and all he can do is just point out how you guys get fucking, posted up with your DEI and shit. Like, how does that make you feel? You got the fucking government and these commercial entities trying to push your fucking narrative. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, do you think that you can associate with people after the fact? And much like that burial on that fuck boy who, like, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. He was just trying to say, like, Asmongold, he has no place to talk about the downfall of Marathon. Dog, I have Marathon. Trust me, it's a downfall. Yo, when you wait like 2 minutes to join a match, like, yo, fuck that, man. I don't give a fuck, dog. That's a fucking downfall. Imagine you spend like fucking multiple millions, possible billion, trying to make a game, and like, yo, most likely I'm gonna go back and play Arc Raiders. Oh my goodness. It's like July the 30th. Tomorrow's gonna be like Canada Day. I know it's not like a big deal for like a lot of you out there. It's a kind of a big deal for me, sort of. I got my cigarettes, I got my like alcohol, I'm ready. But I just want to like come out and say this. Um, yeah, that grooming gang shit ain't going away, you know. The grooming gang stuff is going to be something that is going to last a lifetime. And I think the Sikhs have to make peace with the fact that they were involved in it and they facilitated the rape of white women, Caucasian women. And even though the politicians, the corporations, whatever, right? They all are invested in these Sikhs. They just want a poster child. They want like the righteous ethnic group. I'm sorry, dude. They rape white women. They even have a market for it. This is the most of the reason why I made this video, you know, prior to Canada Day, throwing shade, is to tell everybody, the Pakistanis, the Punjabis, the Sikhs, they have a market, as in they like to watch white girls getting raped in the UK. They call it guri guri. So take with that what you will. Like, I'm not part of their culture. I just, you know, whatever, right? That being said, so lines have to be drawn, and this is the reality that we have to live in today. Now, a lot of you might not like me, like my methods, the way I look, my means to an end, if you will. To that I say, okay, whatever, right? Go trust those fucking child rapists, or you can trust me. So their bloodline wants to advance, they want to procreate, they want to perpetuate. I say no. I say no. And I think I speak for everybody when I say this. Like, look, if you fucked yourself over in your own country, like, what, like, capability do you have in my country? And we look at pretty much every single civilization there is out there, and when they come from a country that is basically derelict, or just like a lost cause, and then they come into another country, history and facts tell us that it's just not going to turn out the way that they want it to. They have no place here. And the rape gang inquiry is only going to get worse. The Pakistanis have to deal with the fact that they are the scum of the earth, along with the Punjabis that also facilitated the rape and trafficking of not only the women themselves, but the internet media, because let's be honest, these guys are lonely ass scumbag bastards that are inbred and retarded, and they view white women as both like a means to an end and also their ultimate obstacle, because in their culture they're superior to like everybody for some reason, even though they're parasites. Like, the Hindus made this distinction like years ago. I'm not trying to like vouch for my Hindu like previous brothers. Like, yes, my parents are Hindu, I was a Hindu, this and that. But I can only speak for myself when I say that these guys wanted so badly to rape Hindu girls and pretend to pass themselves off as Hindu men and shit, and they fall for it. Like, a lot of Hindu guys will cuck out and pretend that like Islam, that Sikhism is part of Hinduism, which it is not. And we have to acknowledge that it is a Muslim religion. It is a rapist religion. It is a pedophilic religion. And Islam is inherently a demonic religion. No matter how much they try to sugarcoat it, every single time you look at the news, every single time you hear these things that these motherfuckers do, it's the antithesis of what you would call morality, what you would call civility. So instead of just making like this long-winded video talking about, oh, this incident, that incident, I'll just generalize and just say this. Okay, so we're winning a war, but we're losing a battle, if that makes sense. So, in the grand scheme of things, people's kids aren't going to side with the Islamic rapist, child pedophilic republic. Like, we have to just break bread with the fact that like 16-year-olds, 17-year-old, 18-year-olds, even in some instances, cannot bear children. And despite what the legality of the law says, we cannot trust the lesser people, the weak, the scum of the earth that have told us how to live while simultaneously lacking that context. And what I mean by that is we're being lied to almost on a daily basis. Actually, we are being lied to on a daily basis. The elders in our society are not mature. Religions are not absolute. They're tenuous. They bend to the wills of drug dealers, of pedophiles, of rapists, of pimps. It is nothing more than a ruse. Food for the thought. Food for thought, if you will. And knowing this, where do you go from there? Well, now that we know that Sikhism and Islam seeks to subvert the human race to basically inbreed their retard genome into society and pass it off as just another human being, we can play by their rules and do that in reverse. Well, the human race is suffering from, discrepancy, diminishing returns, and it is you, not me, you. Therefore, I should bear children in your stead. Yes, simple as. The Sikhs, the Pakistanis, they should be made to know their place, to know that raping children has forever illustrated them as the villains for all of time. There is no backing out of this, there is no washing it away. I know the media and the older generations pretended that they can control the human civilization, but the internet was something that even they could not have predicted. And here we are, current day, right? I'm speaking to you off the internet, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening to me, I hope you're on a VPN. We're still very much in a war, at war. We're about to win because these retards know that the women they prefer us, but there's a limitation to that. Um, Guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but to win you have to lose, to gain you have to give up. And in the sense of life, that's what it is. If I gave you a number, right, calorie wise, protein wise, would it even matter? Density, 3,000, 6,000, doesn't even matter. I'll tell you this much. We're all human beings, and we all kind of want the same thing, except we were lied to. We're not all human beings. And I'm not trying to justify any form of like violence or whatever, right, against any types of people, but they're not people. So where I'm going with this is as simple as this, right? You can go out there and you can gain that which they do not have. They don't have it. Whatever it is, love, strength, finance, capital, influence. I don't even think it's a finance. It's a resource. It's more of a resource if you think it is, but then when you realize just how the futility of the human race, just trying to earn the favor of the masses is just as worthless as like shitting in a fucking sewer. Like, you know the shit was gonna go there, but like, what difference does it make? Okay, maybe that's a poor analogy, and like, whatever, right? But that being said, Like, okay, so where am I going with this in this video? I've been, rambling for the past 15, something odd minutes. And I gotta make a point, and that point is as simple as follows. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at war with non-human beings. And even though, and I know this is gonna sound hard for a lot of people, even though what I'm about to say will make you the villain in many people's eyes, it is the truth. Um, the best way to go about this is not only this understanding, but like think about like the inevitability. One day, you were gonna have to raise kids, right? Those kids, they weren't gonna be 100% upstairs. They weren't gonna be mature, etc., etc. Now, take that and apply it to adult generations for tomorrow, of tomorrow, and now you see where I'm going. It is imperative that you understand this. Um, Maturity, accountability, um, morality, all that stuff. It's kind of almost as if society has used those things as a litmus test and nothing else. It's just that. I don't see my life better for being more moral. I don't see anybody's life being better for being more like, like let me give you an example. Like let's say there was a drunken or like drug like addicted man and he had to go stab somebody, right? And then some good Samaritan stepped in and he tried to like defend the person who was getting stabbed and stuff, right? He gets charged with assault. And now you might think I'm making this shit up, but no, this is actual a reality of the situation that we're living in. Our lawmakers, our judges, are almost so backwards that they want to see the downfall of society. And that being said, how do you respond to that? Well, you don't. Okay, so you're thinking to yourself, well, if you want to, like, do that, then I'm going to do this. No, no, that's what they want you to do. Kindness is. Okay, think about this. You got a judge. They're choosing your penalty, your punishment. And instead of, like, adhering to that, you say to yourself, no, fuck it. I don't want to deal with that shit. And then year after year, they try to maintain, if you will. Like these things cost a lot of money, right? And if you can't judge people, or if you can't do what is intended with the tools at hand, then it's kind of a bust. Now, could I have attacked that person after the fact and gained some sort of like advantage? Maybe, maybe not. But what I will say is the following. The future generations, right, have been so called, right, into almost a complete form of civility. Almost everything I'm saying right now in the past 19 minutes, 5 seconds, etc., etc., over their head, or they're just like disregarding it. Aggression is just fallacy, a fantasy. You wish you had it, but you don't. Let me tell you something about aggression. If you think for a second that aggression just builds upon itself, it is a mistake. And this is the horrifying truth. Um, Gentlemen, I don't want to talk to ladies about this because this is the hellscape of warfare, if you will. It is a never ending journey to the center to realize that you were lied to your whole life. Life amongst everyone else is as important as you think it is. It's not. And if this isn't because they want to end your life, rather the opposite of that, because their lives were so meaningless, but you did not kill them, you did not end their lives, that they hold this grudge against you. It is not only your duty to do it, but it's also your burden, because it's like, you never asked for this. Come on, you never signed up for, okay, babysitting some fucking retards who want to, like, you know, die by some sort of means, an arrow, a sword, or whatever, to make up for the fact that there's, you know, child rapist scumbags. We have to point out the fact that, like, and nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to talk about this. We live with a lot of child rapists, a lot of pedophiles, a lot of Sikhs, a lot of Pakistanis, a lot of Muslims, and they all have the same rhetoric. And that is old enough to count, old enough to mount, according to them. Now, where do we go with this? Knowing that these scum exist with us and that the government is using them as a cheap voting base. Well, as a human species, we chastise not only them, but the women who date them, and forever hold a scar upon them. Not to ridicule them, or like we give a shit about, like, you know, their life choices. Everyone's free to do as they please. But then the disease of congregation, of being associated with those lower beings, no hygiene, promiscuous sex, lack of natural selection, inbreeding, etc., etc. And you have to understand that, like, Guyana, I mean, it's a small ass country, but Pakistan, India is like a huge ass country, and just like dumping people on you, man. I only bring it up as this aside because it's like everyone wants to pretend like immigrants are all the same. No, they're not. I'm not trying to like vouch for, like, you know, immigrants from south of the border. I'm just trying to say that, like, we lived a long ass time here in Canada. I'm 41. I was about to say 31. 41. I look so fucking young, dude. I watched this YouTuber. Motherfucker said he was like 30 something. I look at him and I'm like, no, you know you're not. How do I look younger than you, you stupid fucking retard? And then I realized something. Much like the criticism that I give out, we should also pay respect to the fact that the Sikhs, the Pakistanis, as much as we hate them, they are useful in a sense, at least for like a temporary measure. Cheap help, like scum, but help, but like labor, slaves, serfs, scum that, even though they desire to rape women beyond their class, beyond their living conditions, they should be made to not only know their place, but to forever feel the shame of their people, to rape white women, to groom them, forever, and it will never go away. And the Sikhs also have to share that burden, for they also participated in that. The rape, the categorization, the trafficking of white pornography, like white women, like white children getting raped by these scum, and they jerk off to it. And this is actually more common than you think. So I want you to remember this. Sikhs and Pakistanis don't need to reproduce. If you do with them, you are not human. And we need to move forward. As far as I'm concerned, everything is on the table.